The new Elves versus Inventors is the final dual decks to ever be made. Now, is it a last hurrah or a sad send-off? Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, and welcome to my product analysis on the Dual Decks Elves versus Inventors deck set. Now, as I mentioned, this is the final dual decks. These have been around for years. This is the final set of two decks. It started off in the beginning with Elves versus Goblins, and it's ending off with Elves versus Inventors. And to summarize, for those of you who don't really like to stick around, it is underwhelming, to say the least. Honestly, these decks are being discontinued because of low interest. I don't know if it's also because Wizards can't cram enough value in them to make it worthwhile or make the themes work, but this one seems like just a jumbled mess. I mean, at least with the Elf deck, what I'll say about the Elf deck is at least it all has somewhat of a cohesive theme in that it's all elves, right? I mean, you've got like Azuri Renegade Leader, who is going to be the key card for the deck. Now, the artwork they show here are other printings. So the Azuri is actually the alternate art foil for the deck. And he's actually really solid when it comes to elf cards. So he's great. Dwynen is fantastic. And so is the Elvish Archdruid. These are all great. The Gladeheart Cavalry is, I suppose, like fun, but it's really expensive. Regal Force is a fantastic include. And then you have a lot of like this, okay, this is something based on the number of lands you have, but like there's no overriding theme that ties them together. Like this one cares about you having lands, this one cares about casting an elf previously. Like this one obviously just works great in a green deck. I'm a huge fan of Yeva. But then you've got Elvish Aberration, which is a mana producer, search for a forest. You got your like boost guys. Mana elves obviously are included. They only put one Elvish Vanguard in here, and I wondered if they did that intentionally because they want the decks to be balanced, and too many Elvish Vanguards would make this deck strong. I feel like this deck has intentionally like a really low power level, nerfed power level, so that it's basically, the whole product to me feels like it's been like shunted around the concept of Inventors, where everything has to work around that. And so because the Inventors deck is weak by nature, the Elf deck had to be weak, because this is weaker than the original Elves versus Goblin deck. And the Elves versus Goblin dual decks that they just, not Elves versus Goblin, sorry, Goblins versus Merfolk dual decks that they made previous to this one, those were solid decks. This is a nightmare. This is like last day of work, phoning it in, don't give a crap style work. Like this doesn't feel like it has a cohesive theme. It's just like, no, look, it's got a bunch of elves. It's literally just bunch of elves shoved together. And here's the sad part. This deck actually looks more cohesive than the other deck. This one is just a pile of whatever. Anything that they could just kind of shove in here. You got Goblin Welder. Now they changed the artwork on this one as well, which is disappointing. They gave it this very generic new style magic artwork that takes away the charm that this Goblin Welder has. It really changes him into something. They tried to make him seem like a really proficient and effective Goblin Welder, which I suppose in all fairness works better with the tap ability to a degree, but it just robs this card of a lot of its innate charm, in my opinion. Anyways, that's just a minor note. I think the fact that they included Goblin Welder is a great choice. It's probably the best card in the whole deck in terms of value and worthwhile cards out of the whole thing, which is pretty sad. It says a lot. I mean, scrolling through here, you can see we've got random it's random artificers and artifacts, because artificers love artifacts. So it's just like, the other one was just, hey, it's elves. This one's artifacts and inventors and whatever, just shove it together. We need to get some stuff from recent times in here. We want it to feel kind of connected to some of the recent stuff, so we're just going to shove all this random artifact. Like, it's so just all like mere Battlesphere. Scuttling Doom Engine is a cool one. I mean, I could see an Artificer coming up with something crazy like this. I like that. And Solemn Simulacrum is the other nice card from this deck. This is your other like, oh yeah. So that fits in there pretty well. And then you've got random stuff, Thopter Assemblies, and then just a complete random smorgasbord of, as long as it's got Artificer in the name. And then here's where it gets really lazy and ugly and stupid to me, where it's fucking Barrage Ogre. 5 mana for a 3/3. You look at this thing. I haven't looked at the new one. I pray to God, please tell me that they gave it new artwork. Because if they just reprinted this because it says the Elves in the flavor text, I'm going to lose my mind. The whole concept of this in the deck to me is kind of stupid. But, I mean, if it's been reconcepted well enough, maybe. But it just shoved in there. It's just, it just feels so wrong. Nothing feels good about this when you go through it. Nothing feels like, the whole thing doesn't feel like some great convention of artificers. It just feels like it's not a dream team or anything. It's just a bunch of random dudes they shoved together. And then the artifact sampling. You've got a dark steel plate, 2 Ichor Wellsprings, which represent the Phyrexian infection. Okay? How does that fit into the artifact? What artifact creators, what inventors are making Phyrexian plague? I'm sorry, doesn't work. And like the thing is, an Ichor Wellspring. How are you gonna make the? Anyways, inventors goggles. Oh my God, a Mycosynth Wellspring. Another one. What's going on here? God, this is terrible. Pyrite Spellbomb, Voyager Staff. Look at, they have such shitty art. Are you fucking kidding me? Look at this. 11 artifacts. These are lands. These are just lands. Oh. And they put in Temple of Epiphany. Oh my God. They could have put in a good land, man. They could have shoved in something to make it worthwhile here, to put a bit of value in the set for you on top of it. This is not a great land. These, and just a Shivan Reef as well. God damn, guys. And Swiftwater Cliffs. What a garbage deck. All right, you know what? Honestly, there's nothing to it. There's not enough money in it to justify buying it for anybody who cares about that. And more importantly, for caring about play, this doesn't look like any time was spent actually making it a real viable product. It feels like they just slapped a bunch of stuff together. This honestly feels like the worst dual decks I've ever seen. They are ending it off with a whimper. This is incredibly disappointing, guys. I don't like this at all. I'm a big fat thumbs down on this one. Avoid this product, my friends. That's my opinion. Do what you will. If it makes you happy, get it. But I would say if you're gonna get it, wait, because I'm guessing it's going to be discounted. My estimation is this is not going to sell well. So, thanks for coming by. See you later.
Together we are the sixth color of magic.